Hello and welcome to Living with Annietude. Of course, my gratitude alarm just went off right when I'm starting my show. We are waiting for my guest. I just popped off of another live podcast. I was on the Stephen DeSade show, getting my, just getting my mind blown and getting completely analyzed. And I asked a question about trust, and he just sliced it and diced it, and it was pretty mind blowing. So that's where I am right now. My show, Living with Annietude, that we do weekly and sometimes a couple pop-ups a week, is about authenticity. And a lot of people throw that word around, but I was talking to Stephen DeSade last night, and he said, well, but what is your true authentic self? Why? And we've been talking a lot about this purpose-driven life and what that means to have a purpose-driven life. Why do I want to be my most authentic self? And I think that's a really good question and something that I'm sort of been wondering about all day. What does it mean to be your most authentic self? Hi, Rhonda. How are you? So I'm waiting for my guest. How are you, Dollface? So glad that you're here with me. I don't know who else is here, but talking about being your most authentic self and what that really means. I mean, people throw this around a lot. And I think the reason that I want to be, there's Andrea, I want to be my most authentic self is because I am here to make an impact on people's lives and help them see themselves so that they can live their purpose-driven lives. But that aside, we will welcome our beautiful, wonderful guest, Andrea Sanchez, to the show. How are you, my dear?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Welcome, welcome. So Liam is here. How are you, Liam? Nice to see you. So we have lots of people are popping on to see you, girlfriend. Jesse, hi. So I don't know if you were watching, but I was just on the Stephen DeSade show, and I literally rolled at 7:59 over to this show to do this podcast, and I'm like, I didn't even really get a chance to process it. I mean, what did you think of what he said? What did you take from that? It was like, I need to watch it like 6 more times. Right?
That man is just amazing. He's incredible. I know, like when I went on, I had a couple of days that I had to go back and process what he said.
Yeah, I know.
Replay. But yeah, I mean, what you mentioned about trust and what he mentioned to you, I thought was very applicable to all of us.
Yeah.
Is to rethink trust. There's so many layers to it. And it really makes you have a complete different mindset and look at gaps that perhaps you didn't realize were interfering with how you saw trust or how you trusted yourself.
Well, we're going to get into some things and we can go back to that, but will you do me a little favor and just sort of introduce yourself? Because in case, I mean, everyone knows who you are, but in case people don't, I have this wonderful, beautiful, soulful being on with me tonight who I'm so happy to have. And I would love for you to just give me a quick blip on who you are.
Yeah, so I'm Andrea. I guess if I need to summarize who I am is I'm a being in progress. I like to inspire and empower others. I've come from a rough upbringing full of bullying and people telling me I'm not good enough, and I'm ready to break those misconceptions and those false thoughts that I've had in my head all my life. And I've started doing that through several initiatives, volunteer initiatives, for the past 6 years. And I just want to be there to help people. My background is in communications, marketing. I have a fascination with leadership and change management and personal growth.
I love that you decided to break what has been said to you and told to you by giving back and doing volunteer work. That's not really like what most people think. They usually think they want to take to get, to build themselves up, but really like you're doing something really, really incredible by giving back. And you have these rallies, these online rallies, and I'm lucky enough to speak. I can't believe it snuck up on us this quickly. I was like, oh, it's not for a while, but it is like in a couple days. So I have to figure that out. But it's a hope and kindness rally. And I'm so aligned with everything. As soon as we talked, as soon as we met, I'm so aligned with everything that you are doing and everything you want to do. And you're certainly good enough for me. You're more than good enough. So I'm happy to tell you that whatever you're putting off, or giving off to the world is beautiful and wonderful. And to the naysayers before, they are, as Peter just said to me, peanuts to a battleship.
That's right.
Right? That was such an interesting analogy. He said, I'm the battleship. And as soon as I get more confident and trust myself more, then people saying things or doing things will be peanuts to my battleship.
That's right.
And I started the show. I talk about helping people each day. And this is what I do with my clients and with companies, is to find their most authentic selves. And I wanted to talk to you about this word authenticity that people have been, it's like the new empathy word. It's like the word that everybody's throwing around. And what does it mean? The it word, the buzzword, right? What does it really mean? So I kind of wanted to get a feel from you on what's your definition of authenticity? What does it truly mean to you?
Authenticity is just being you without thinking about it. It's so often we have these filters, whether we realize it or not, that society has kind of rubbed off on us, or perhaps in our upbringings, or what we read, what we digest on the news, or whatever it may be. And authenticity is letting go of all those filters or all those boxes and just being you in raw form.
Right.
And I think that's initially what we were supposed to be when we were born. If you see those little kids, they're as happy as can be, and they don't care if they try to walk, they fall, they keep going. They do silly things. They wear interesting outfits. I remember my toddler used to pick these outfits that never really matched, but those were the best, and she had the best time. So
and they say things to you too. They're like, Mom, that doesn't look good. Or like, Mom, like your hair, what's going on? Or like, if God forbid you have a blemish or something, they're like, what's that? Like they're so raw and honest. And yes, I do believe that is very authentic. And how do we get back to that? How do we get back? Not that that we're crass or we have, we don't have filters, because obviously there's politeness factor when you get older and more mature, but right. But I mean, how do we get back to that authentic way? How do we allow ourselves to be authentic again?
That's a great question. I don't necessarily have an answer, but from what's helped me is find a moment that makes you smile, or think back in the past. When were you really laughing, like for real?
Belly
Like,
laugh, yeah.
super happy. Go back in your childhood. What made you so happy? What were you doing at that time? And see if you can kind of go back in that time and capture that moment, and see if you can instill that in something else. So it's doing something similar. If it was something like when you were, like, I remember when I was a child, I used to live in New Jersey, and we had like this, I was the leader of this club called the Candy Ball Club, because we liked to eat candy and we played kickball every afternoon. But it's like I go back to those times, and it was just so carefree, and we played outside, and we just had fun as children, and we got creative. We did plays in front of our parents, and so I was like, what is it about that time? There was no judgment. We were able to express our creativity. We were able to play. So I try to get moments of being able to play and being able to express my creativity and in areas in my life now. And so that brings me closer to being my authentic self, which I know being my authentic self is my happy self. So that brings me closer.
So I totally hear what you're saying, and I agree with you. I have this perception. This is my third podcast of today. I was on a podcast earlier, and then I was just on. Yeah, so I'm like I'm on it. I'm ready. But what I said today in the podcast, and what I believe and what I've said in the past, is about, I think that when we're kids, we don't chase happiness. And I think as adults, we start to chase happiness. And happiness to me is not a state of mind. Happiness is the moments. And it's when you can grab those moments, like you just said, and sort of bottle them and hold them and put them in your pocket for later. And when you can feel that happiness in that moment, and that gratitude for that moment and that time that you're in, it's much more soulful than trying to get to this state of mind that's happiness, because that doesn't, in my eyes, that doesn't really exist. And that's when you lose that authenticity, when you're trying to be so much and trying to do so much and trying to get to this. Well, once I just do this, and if I just buy this, and if I just get this done, and if I, once I make this amount of money or have this car, whatever it is, or have this man or have this woman or, whatever it is, like we lose that innocence. And when we lose that innocence, we lose that authentic piece. And so I think to get back to authenticity, you have to go back to your soul and your roots and stop chasing this dream of happiness. Does that make any sense?
Oh, totally. It totally makes sense. I completely agree with you. We think that there's this checklist items to go through to achieve happiness. And sometimes chasing happiness actually is what makes us unhappy, which is ironic.
Totally.
So we need to redefine what happiness is. It's not necessarily what your happiness may be different from my happiness to someone else's happiness. It's very personal, and it doesn't have to be huge, magnificent acts or milestones to make you happy. It's, gosh, be happy with the little miracles that happen in your day every single day. So, I mean, there's different levels of different opportunities rather to embrace authenticity. Even right now, I mean, I'm get to speak to you, which you always make me smile and bring out the best in me. So
I'm so glad that you feel that way. I totally feel the same way too. And I was really, really excited to meet with you tonight and be able to talk about this stuff. We have a number of people that I haven't brought in the comments yet, just because I didn't want to sort of interrupt your flow and what we were talking about. And I will bring them in, but there's a number of people that have come to say hi. And I love our supporters, and it's really just a beautiful thing. I find that when we're chasing that, you're exactly right. When we're chasing that happiness, it's really when the problems come. And I also think that there's a word that people forget that we often leave behind, which is contentment. There's a difference between contentment and happiness, right? Like when I can get to a place, like when you're happy all the time, I've said this before and I'm not trying to be funny, but it is kind of funny. Like when you're happy all the time, you're on drugs. Like you're probably not sober, right? And like you're just like on some sort of like you just can't be happy all the time. So like this perpetual chase and try to find this happy feeling all the time. It's like I just want to be content, and things are going to upset me and things are going to throw me off track, but I can still hold that peace and that contentment. Does that sort of like align with what you think?
Oh my goodness, it brought back all these images. Yes. So oftentimes when I see someone that looks really, really happy, like all the time, I'm thinking there's something wrong with that person. And more likely, and I wish I didn't think that way, but more often than not, it's a cry for help. It's not authentic happiness when it just, I mean, there's maybe 3 in my whole life, I could say maybe 2 that is truly the way they are. And I was completely wrong. But for the most part, if they try so hard, like look at Facebook, for example, for those people that always are, I love Facebook. I'm always on it. I love Facebook. But those people that I find are quiet, but then all of a sudden come up and say all these happy things about each other and their spouse or their children or whatever. Everything's always happy. No one's like that. Those are the ones that later on are unfortunately having problems. So it's I completely agree. There's authentic happiness versus true happiness, and true happiness can come and go in just a moment. You don't have to be happy all the time. We're all human, so we'll go through a myriad of emotions.
Absolutely. And I find that when I am my least feeling good, and it's the last time, and I've said this a lot of times before, the last thing I want to do is what I do, which is I go back to gratitude. Because it's the last thing I feel like doing when I'm pissed off or angry or upset is sitting and making a gratitude list. Like, I'm like, I'm not grateful, and I start throwing stuff. But like when I take it down a notch and I actually think about what I'm grateful for. I had a post this morning. I don't know if you saw it. I put it on LinkedIn where, I was in the shuffle this morning. It was 5:30 a.m. I was sitting in my computer doing work. I had the schedule all planned out hour by hour, and I was ready to put my running clothes on and walk out the door. And it was about 7:30, and my daughter comes pitter pattering in, And she said, Mommy, and I'm like, my shoulder, I was like, yes, because I just was on my schedule, you know, and I wanted to stick to my schedule. And she said, will you lie with me? And my heart melted. And I said to myself, how can I'm on this schedule, right? And I know it doesn't seem important, but I'm very structured and I'm rigid when it comes to myself. And I thought to myself, how can I not embrace this little girl? She's asking for a couple moments of my time.
Yeah.
I got back in bed with her. She got in my bed. I wrapped my arms around her and I said, you are my favorite thing. And I love you more than I love anything in this universe. And I felt so incredibly good in those moments that I thought, there's no money I can make. There's no deal that I can close. There's no run that I could go on with endorphins, whatever. There's nothing in my life that can feel like those couple moments. And it doesn't last. She was hysterical over Zoom and like later in the day and like, you know, banging herself against the wall, like because Zoom didn't work and the teacher was freaking out. It's like all these things happen, right? But like at the end of the day, like when I think of my day, I don't think about the Zoom crap. I think about wrapping my arms around her and having those moments. How long is she going to ask me to do that? You know, like she's not going to do that forever. She needed me at that moment and she wanted me. And I was like, forget everything else. And it was hard for me because I'm wired to go, go, go. And to stop and be in that moment and have gratitude for that time together, just those couple minutes was just incredible.
Those are the best moments. And actually, those are the moments that you'll remember forever.
And hopefully she will too. Hopefully she will too. It just meant so much to me. I was just like, you know what? In the hustle and bustle, and I just posted it because I thought to myself, let one person read this and stop. And it could be with your spouse. It could be with your best friend. It could be with your kids. It doesn't have to be your children. You know, not everybody has children, not everybody, but like just stop in the moment in what you're doing and just put your shoulders down and just go, this is a really, really nice minute right here. This is a really nice minute.
Yes, I agree. I've done a couple of those myself. They're great. They're great. Something else that helps with authenticity, which I try to, in my day job, I try to do this all the time, but also when I volunteer, is people sometimes forget that who they speak to, or whether it's a president of a company, or whether it's a stranger that you see in the grocery store. Everyone's a person. Everyone has feelings. Everyone cooks or eats or goes to sleep and has bad days and wakes up and has their comfy clothes, some type of comfy clothes. Everyone has things like that and goes through like that, and emotions, and gets sad and happy and are not perfect. So sometimes we get so wrapped up in the boxes that people put other people in because of title, because of roles, because, but I'm not supposed to talk to this person because I don't have a certain title, or I am a lot younger. This person will never be able to relate to me because they're older. At the end of the day, we need to scrap all that and remember we're all heartbeats.
We all put our pants on one leg at a time, as they say. You know, I mean, that's really at the end of the day what it comes down to. We have some people that have wanted to say hello. So that's such a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. We're all just people. We're humans. You have to treat people as such, you know? Rhonda said, I think you also want to be authentic because you hold yourself accountable. That's very true. That's very true. That's a really good point. I do definitely, and I think other people definitely hold themselves, accountable. And I want to be my truest self all the time because I want to give back what I'm putting out to the world. I want everyone to see that real person that I am. That's why, like, I try to, post the crap that I go through and the stuff in my life, because I don't want it to be all fake book, smiles and roses, because that's not life. And if I can impact one person, one person can walk away and say, you know what, Annie went through this, or like she was crying earlier today, or like, she had an amazing day and wanted to pass on her gratitude or her love. Like I want to do that. So that's part of being my authentic self too. So a couple other people, Erlyn, hello. Hi, Melody. Hi. She's such an amazing supporter. Oh. Gary from Hawaii. Oh, yay. I love people from other places that are not near me.
So great.
June says hi. Hi, June. How are you? She's so awesome. I live from California. Love you too, Melody. We love you.
Aww.
Let's see what else. Let's see who else. We have Sundaraj, who's amazing and always supporting me. I feel so good. I don't know why this happens. I don't know what LinkedIn user, why it does that, but hi, LinkedIn user.
Hi.
I'm sorry you're late too. I don't know who you are, but I'm psyched that you're here. I really am. So thank you. I don't know why it does that for some. Oh, hi, Rajiv. Oh, some people just are really, oh, there's my man. Michael, being our true selves,
Hey,
respect for
Michael.
ourselves and everyone we interact with. Isn't he like the greatest guy of all time? So I love what you said, Andrea. We are all just heartbeats. Yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Thank you, Jason.
Obviously, people agree with us on this authenticity piece. How do you what started your sort of, well, I know it was that you had bullying and everything in your life and you wanted to sort of feel better and give back to people. But what was the one day when you woke up and you said, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to do something different this time. I'm going to volunteer, or how did it start? What was the start of things for you?
Wow, what a great question. I don't think it was a specific day, but rather a period in my life that I felt like I was finally awakening to realizing, who am I? I was questioning who I was, and if that is really who I was intended to be or who I wanted to be, or is it because people expected me to be that
Yeah.
specific way?
Yeah.
And
Hi,
it was,
Ashley. I want to give a shout out really quick to Ashley. She's such an
yeah.
amazing, amazing supporter. She's like always on my posts and making comments. And I just, my heart goes to her because she's awesome. So anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go on.
No. So
I
this
just love
was
to hear
when we actually, my husband, his company moved us over halfway across the world, literally to Azerbaijan. We lived in Baku
you.
for about a year, which I didn't even know where that was prior
Yeah.
to moving, but it's by Iran and Turkey. So when we moved over there, I still worked my full-time job, but it was nights because it was Houston time. And so during the day, I would take care of my then 2-year-old daughter,
Mhm.
and it was very lonely. We were very restricted on where we could go, what we could do. So this is where I found the fabulous world of social media, and I really got into Twitter. I got to LinkedIn. That's where I met a whole bunch of people, but I also had a lot of time to think. And so that's when I started to think, is this really who I am? I mean, I've done communications journalism all my life. I love it, but I feel like there's something else. There's this fire in me. I could not comprehend what it was, but I
Mhm.
felt like I was supposed to do something else and make a difference. And I've always wanted to help others. I was always the kid that, even though I myself would be bullied or
Mhm.
made fun of, I was always the kid that looked out for the new kids and made sure that
Yeah.
they had friends, um, even
So
though they were,
learning about everybody.
yeah. So I always was very empathetic in that way, but I felt like there was something else. And so then I started my own Twitter chat, and I was connecting with other people and daring them. It's called Dare to Be, daring themselves to be them, embracing who they are. Then that led to other things, other initiatives, which eventually led to my online rally for hope and kindness. I just really, that in itself was a dream. I woke up saying, just automatically saying, okay, I got to do this, and it has to happen on this date in July. And I just happened to look in July, and that was a Saturday. So I
Mhm.
didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I had to do something to spread the word
Mhm.
of being kind and helping others. And that's
Amazing.
what I did, and I didn't know what to expect. And now we're in our fifth one, and everything that I do, even this Twitter chat, I've been doing it for 6 years, and I'm thinking, why do I keep doing this? And that's the question I asked. I asked Stephen DeSade when I was on his show. It's like, why me? Why do I keep doing this? I love it. I get so fired up when I do these things,
Mhm.
but what is it? And and the thing that he mentioned to me was, why do you have to know?
Hmm.
Just do it. It's not
Well, to
about
me,
you.
it's your
It's about
passion-driven
it's about
purpose.
it's about others. You're here
Right. Right.
to help others.
Doesn't matter the reason. It's what you're born to do and why you're here.
And I just realized that that's exactly it. I don't want people to feel the way I did. I
Mm.
wish I would had someone to help me when I was at my low point. I went through a traumatic experience where I was in 8th grade, like cornered into bullies, and there was cafeteria ladies watching, and they didn't do nothing to save me. So I really, really always wanted to be the person to look out for others, but also to warn others, and to also remind them that no matter what anyone says, you need to believe in yourself.
Yes.
You are a leader. You are unique. You are meant for something, regardless of what other people say. And I've always felt like I had a fire to do that, even though I was labeled introverted and shy and little Andrea, which is the box that I decided to punch out of when I lived in Baku, Azerbaijan. And I'm like, I want to start doing stuff, and I'm going to start experimenting by volunteering. But then I realized, I broke out, quit my job, and wanted to do it full time as an entrepreneur. And I realized it's not the same. If I'm worried about money, I don't want to do it. I want to do it just because I'm passionate about it, and I wanted to make it available to others. So that's what I'm doing. I have various things that I just love seeing people come together, love seeing people get the courage to own who they are. And then, like you said, if you touch one person and then they spread that courage and empower others, that makes me so happy. So that's
you're just an incredible human. You really are. And we have a lot of similarities in our tracks and sort of how we want to impact the world. And I think that's why we sort of hit it off the way we do, because we're so aligned with just being our true selves and giving to be. And it fills me so much to give. We have a comment from Gary who said, sometimes it's difficult to know oneself. Maybe we've forgotten who we are after we've not been ourselves for so long. Now, I'm going to pause that for 1 second and just say, this is my son who's downstairs. Now he's probably going to start laughing. I hear you. I see you. You're supposed to be doing homework. Okay. Sean, hi, Sean. He said, I agree, Gary. I completely lost myself for decades. And then when I found myself again, it was so jarring. But so rewarding. I can completely relate to that, Sean. Like, I can completely understand what it's like to lose yourself and not even know who you are. And then you come back and it's like, wait a minute. I still have to refine myself. I've come back, but like, who am I? And it is so rewarding, but it's still so, like you said, jarring. That's a good word. Melody said, you both touch us. I know you have both impacted me. She's so sweet. So sweet. She can relate to your purpose also. Melody is like, when she writes things, I'm just like, oh, Melody commented, because I can't wait to see what she has to say. But we are, I know this is crazy, my 3rd podcast of the day. We are already toward the end of the show.
Wow.
Yeah, I know that flew. But before we go, I just wanted to see if you have anything that you want to say. Like, how can people find you? The Hope and Kindness rallies, can you sort of direct people to you? And if they want to talk to you, how do they find you?
Yeah, so LinkedIn is the best place. You can look me up on LinkedIn, and you can find information. We have our 5th rally for Hope and Kindness coming up this Saturday, and Annie is one of our speakers. I call them storytellers. So people tell stories of courage, of inspiration, and hopefully it ignites others to do the same. I'm also on Twitter a lot. I host, like I mentioned, my Dare to Be chat every Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern. And I that's where I dare people to be themselves, and have these try to have these inspirational topics as well. So those are the 2 main places that you can find me.
That's beautiful, beautiful. So I have Who Am I? Is such a powerful reminder question to keep going back. Yeah, I love the idea of reflection too, because it really shows your growth in your journey when you reflect. That's why I journal the way I do, so I can see as I develop and grow into my truest and best self, I can see where I was, and I also sort of know where I'm headed. So just don't forget to stay in the present moment. Melody said that it was too short, and it was awesome. So thank you. And Ashley said, finding yourself can be one of the scariest things, and you learn the truest version of yourself. It's true. It's very, very scary, but it is so rewarding. I'm here to tell you there's light on the other side.
So rewarding. The toughest thing ever, but it's so worth it.
It's like the pain is growth. The pain is growth. So just be open and willing and have an open mind. And I just wanted to thank you. I just think you're such a beautiful wonderful soul, and it warms my heart to even talk to you for a half an hour. I know it was short, but it was so nice to hear about what you're doing and just who you are as a person. I feel it when you talk and how passionate you are about helping others and kindness. And I can't wait for Saturday. I'm lying. I'm totally nervous, but I also can't wait.
No. Just be you. I love you so much. I feel like, we've only spoken a few times, but I feel like I've known you forever because I feel like too that we have this connection. So gosh,
Yeah.
keep going with all that you do. I love your
Thank
raw,
you.
authentic comments. So keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you so much, you too, girlfriend. And I will see you very soon. Hang on one second. We're going to do my big outro right here. Ready? Everybody, we just go, bye. Have a great night, everyone. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the Living with Annietude podcast, and we will see you soon. Good night.